This lesson is on the subtraction of mixed numbers. So we just finished adding mixed numbers. Now we're going to subtract. Again, you have your two choices. I'm strongly going to encourage you to choose number 2, but I do want to show you both methods in case you really prefer method 1. So when we're subtracting, again, we can choose to sort of separate these out to have 2 minus 1, so subtracting the whole number portions and then adding to that 14/15 minus 4/5. So really we're taking the whole numbers and subtracting them, and then the fractional portions and subtracting them. And for this one, it doesn't work out too horribly bad. Again, I would take this times 3 and this times 3. So 2 minus 1 would give me 1, and then 14 minus 12 would give me 2/15. So on this one, it's not horrible because the 14/15 happen to be greater than the 12/15. This may, however, require borrowing down the road, and a lot of people really struggle with borrowing, so I'm going to show you the second way, and then we'll do another example together. So the second way is just like we did for addition. I would take 2 times 15 plus 14, so that would be 44/15 minus, and then again 1 times 5 plus 4 would be 9/5. I would have to then multiply by 3 just as I did before. So 44/15 minus 27/15. And the advantage here then is, of course, now that I have my common denominator, I'm going to take 44 minus 27, which is 17/15, and then 15 goes into 17 once with 2 left over. So for this particular example, method 2 is actually a little bit more complicated because there were more steps involved. But for our next example, I'll show you why you might not prefer method 1. So let's take a look. If I have 6 and 5/9 minus 3 and 2/3. So if I do method 1, then I'm taking 6 minus 3, and I also have 5/9 minus 2/3. Which is fine. 6 minus 3 gives me a result of 3. And if I change my second fraction to be ninths, I would multiply by 3 and multiply by 3. And here's where this method falls apart. Because now I have 3 and I have 5 minus 6, which gives me -1/9. So I have 3 plus -1/9. And now I have to deal with the fact that I'm taking a 9th away from 3. So it's really not saving me any at all here. You can change 3, and this is what borrowing is. I can say that 3 is the same as 2 and 9/9, because we all know that 9/9 is a whole, and that would make it 3. So I could fix it by borrowing this way. So 2 and 9/9 minus 1/9 would be 2 and 8/9. But again, that part can be very confusing for a lot of people because we have to turn 3 into 2 and 9/9, and it gets a little bit crazy. So instead, you might just stick with the original method. So 6 times 9 is 54, plus 9 is 59/9. And then 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11/3. Again, change this so that I have a common denominator of 9, so I'm going to multiply by 3. That gives me 59/9 minus 33/9. 59 minus 33 gives me 26/9. And then 9 goes into 26 2 times evenly with 8 left over. And so notice I do get the same answer, 2 and 8/9. Again, completely up to you which way makes more sense to you. Last subtraction that I'm going to do with you here, I have 7 and 7/8. So I'm going to take 7 times 8, which is 56, plus 7 is 63/8. I'm going to subtract 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 1, so 7/2. In order for me to combine those together, I need to have a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply by 4 on top and on bottom of my second fraction because 8 and 2 have a common denominator of 8. So 63 eighths minus 28 eighths. So now I'm just taking 63 minus 28, which is 35. And 8 would go into 35 4 times with 3 eighths left over. So 4 and 3 eighths. Here are 2 for you to try on your own, so try them both, then press play to see how you did. For my first question, again, I'm going to change this into 9 sevenths minus 13 fourteenths, and then I'm going to multiply that 7 times 2 because I want to have a common denominator of 14. So 8 fourteenths minus 13 fourteenths gives me 5 fourteenths. And for my second question, I'm going to write that as 5 over 1 minus 19 sixths, because 3 times 6 is 18 plus 1 is 19. To have a common denominator, I will multiply by 6, which gives me 30 sixths minus 19 sixths. And I will subtract 30 minus 19 to get 11 sixths. And 6 goes into 11 one time with 5 left over.